on the case study for 30 minutes.
Yeah, a very good afternoon to the respected jury, ladies and gentlemen. I am Tabriz from Toyota Kirloskar Auto Parts, and I am supported by my colleague Niranjan. Before I start my presentation, let me start with my safety declaration that I will always show in my behavior that safety is my topmost priority and inspire everyone to follow. Well, coming to our company, Toyota Kirloskar Auto Parts, we are a joint venture between Toyota Motor Corporation, the Aisin Group, and Kirloskars, and we have a product line of transmissions, engine, and axles. Coming to our project title, it is productivity improvement in transmission assembly line through Jishuken and low-cost automation. That is nothing but Karakuri. Let's see how this need has arisen. So if you look at the graph on the left side, till 2013, we enjoyed a very good volume increase, and then we improved our capacity, but the volume started declining. This was followed by, as you know now, labor doesn't come cheap. Every year, there is a 12 to 15% increase in the labor cost, and this is directly impacting our product cost. A further more breakdown of the product cost, if you say our product cost is at 100 right now, with the volume drop, and then part cost inflation and in-house inflation, it was going to around 123%. Let's look a little bit more of the breakdown. So for the product cost, there are some fixed cost, operation cost, and labor cost, and others. For the operation cost, we have a very clear plan of achieving more than 6% of cost reduction. That progresses every year, and we are able to achieve more than 7% on an average. And for the fixed cost, we made an aggressive plan of localizing the parts. So maybe over the years, we want to reach 96%. But the major area that has to be attacked is the labor cost. Now, when we talk about labor cost, there are two options how we can improve the productivity. Just increase the numbers if the market demand is there, but that's not the option we have. We have to try to see how we can be more productive per labor. So based on that, we chose the second option. And if you see a conventional methodology, when we talk about labor cost, first thing that comes to our labor productivity, what comes to our mind is some sophisticated automation. Though there are a lot of advantages, but it comes with a lot of demerits as well, like in terms of safety risks, in terms of cost of running or maintenance, in terms of space that we need to provide a lot of barrication, and we need a lot of high-skilled people to maintain this stuff. And of course, there is a lot of challenge on the environment. And the bottom line, the ROI is from 15 to 20 years. Our approach, if you look at in any work, it comprises of, I'm talking about manual work, value-added work, muda, and supplementary work. So our philosophy is how to improve this value-added work and then reduce the muda, that is nothing but non-value-added work, and supplementary work. So through this, basically we look at effective utilization of man-hour. So let me explain our thinking way that we adopted in this productivity improvement. So we went ahead with the thinking after a lot of brainstorming that collaboration of Jishuken and low-cost automation should be a solution for us. And we set our targets, that is we will reduce 5% of manual work through this Jishuken, and then 10% of manual work through low-cost automation. That is nothing but 15% reduction, and we try to capture it through Sigma CT. That is nothing but the total time, manual work time that is there in any work. So through this we thought we can offset the labor cost. Now with this background, let me get into the case study. So the case study is transmission assembly and tester line productivity improvement activity. So if you look at the layout right now, so this is the transmission assembly line layout. We have sub-assembly line, main assembly line, and then tester. We have 3 testers. Our focus area has been there. And if you look at the workload, we call it as line Yamazumi. So this particular line runs at a takt of 55 seconds, and there are 16 people who work on this particular area. So I just tried to plot M1 to M8. There are 6 more loops in between, and T1 to T8. So to improve productivity, we need to reduce man-hour or manpower. So if you look further, to give you a little bit more on the data, currently we were operating at 854 seconds of total man work. That is nothing but with 16 man loops. So we targeted to achieve 726 seconds, that is to go to 13 man loops. So as a target, 42 seconds reduction through Jishuken and 86 second reduction through low-cost automation. Now, I've been telling Jishuken. So what is this Jishuken? This is just a Japanese terminology, nothing great in that particular. It's the same time and motion study that is carried out to reduce the Muda. Basically 3 M's, Muda, Mura and Muri. This has 8-step approach, starts with theme setting, then we try to look at the root causes, implement the countermeasures, sustain, and then do a Yokoten, that is horizontal deployment. It is a 5 days activity. However, there is something little bit more to this Jishuken at Toyota. It is about self-learning to improve self, that is the knowledge of TPS. The essence of HRD is measured through this Jishuken. So just one example of the Kaizen that is implemented. If you see in this particular photograph, the operator is picking parts. He has to pick the parts twice from the stacker and then assemble on the right and left side. So this has Muda, that is non-value added work, and there is a Muri, that is fatigue for the operator. Every time he has to bend and pick the parts. So a simple Kaizen that came out from our operator is just provide 2 stackers, I pick the parts and load it simultaneously. So these kind of simple Kaizens were carried out through Jishuken, and as a result, if you see 41 Kaizens were identified, simple Kaizens, and then we could find 34 feasible Kaizens which are implemented. Through this, even the ergo burden we could reduce to our standards, and also the TPS knowledge improved. I think this activity is done at almost all the places now as a part of work and motion study. So as I said, 38 seconds reduced. Go back, and when we look at again our Yamazumi, that is a workload, so we have to balance the loop, but we are not able to balance because there is still a long way to go. So when we once again try to club all the value added and non-value added work, we found that walk time is more. So next challenge is elimination of walk time, that is Muda of walking. So if you see again the layout, what is that I'm talking about? Muda of part pushing and empty hand walking. So if you see the layout, the 3 places M8, T2 and T8, these are the 3 loops which are having a lot of Muda of walking. Let's try to understand through a video. Yeah, if you can see, the operator is walking empty-handed to the end of the loop, almost 15 meters of walking. Then he picks up the assembly coming out from testers. There are 3 testers. He picks the first assembly, then he picks the second assembly, moves to the next station. He picks the third assembly. He goes to the last station, delivers it, confirms, and then walks back empty-handed. So this is the walking, Muda of walking, what I'm talking about. That was on T8 loop. So next is Muda, if you see the T2 loop, there is again Muda of walking and Muda of pushing the part, similar to the T8 loop. You see here there are 3 testers, so the operator has to take the parts, go to the tester, load inside the tester, go to the next tester, based on the requirement, where it is required he has to load it, then walk back 12 to 13 meters. So this is again Muda which is happening. This is happening every cycle. So the next area for the M8 loop, I do not have the before video, but I tried to simulate with the existing Kaizen that is done. Just have a look. So if you see here, earlier he has to push the dolly manually, and then he has to load the assemblies, move it to the next station, deliver it. Again there was an activity of taking the empty pallets from there. So these are the things which we came across which was having a lot of walking time. So now we need to do something about it, and that was low cost automation because we could not invest. So we made a target, let's reduce this 90 seconds odd through a low cost automation. Now what is a low cost automation? When we say low cost automation, what comes to the mind is an automation that is made at the low cost. But this is not what we believe. We believe a low cost automation is a system where man and machine collaborate and work together, which meets expectations of the Toyota way. Now what is that we are talking about? It should be low or no power consumption, no actuators or minimum actuators, highly flexible, highly reliable, in line with the built-in quality requirements, less space, that is lean, and very easy to maintain. Anybody should be able to maintain. So with this concept, we started our journey, and the tool that we adopted is Karakuri. That's what I'm going to talk about today. So the Karakuri, now what is this Karakuri? This is nothing but achieving fascinating motion with no power or low power. If you see, we were very much fascinated when we benchmarked Japan. We came across this Karakuri doll, which has some mechanical mechanisms with ropes and pulleys inside. Just by keeping the cup weight, it moves and delivers to the next station. So this fascinated us, and that's how we started looking at how we can implement this kind of thinking in our area. So when we think from the organization point of view, on safety, this kind of rope pulley or low torque can be thought about. On space, definitely no barrication, because it is all operated without with simple mechanisms. And then cost, obviously low cost, because no sensors, no special elements that are there. And finally, maintenance, not much of skill required to this kind of maintenance. So based on this thinking, we made a scenario wherein we want to have ROI of less than 2 years. So with that we proceeded. Just a check before the project implementation, that is conventional automation versus low cost automation. So for our project, we had to do part movement, which required conventionally part like conveyors, etc. And then part lifting, we require pneumatic hydraulics. Then part pushing, we need to have again a conveyor. And then for part rotation, we need some actuators. So but we made our mindset on how to go about low cost automation. We got a lot of brainstorming ideas from all our people. Even the operators who are working on the line gave us very, very simple ideas. So we made a mindset that we will go with no power. That is, first we thought about gravity solutions, no power solutions, and low power solutions, and how we can do the power sharing by using the machine power. And again, the best thing was this: we can do it in-house. Well, let's look at our journey further. So first solution is, we thought about no power. That is how to go with gravity. So just look at the testers. The challenges are, we have to have a slope if we have to move the pallets through gravity, and then we have to have a slope from 15 mm to 300 mm. And the challenge is, we have to have one standard stock at each station. We have to ensure first in, first out. And then we need to have a smooth transfer. So finally, once it goes down, it has to come back to the original position, that it has to move against the gravity. These are the challenges what we had. Brainstorm came out with a lot of zero actuator solutions. We put it on the paper, all simple ideas trying to engineer, and then we thought, okay, let's try to implement. Let's see what is the outcome. Conventionally, for this particular activity, we would have required 13 actuators, but we ended doing this with absolutely zero actuators. Let's have a look. So the transmission which is coming out, based on mechanical arrangements, it just pushes another transmission. It is moving just based on the slope to the next station. Parallelly, when the other transmission which comes through the mechanical link and a gravity karakuri, that also is moving on the existing rollers, which are free rollers. Similarly, from the third station, we are able to take the third transmission. The challenge is more than 300 mm. It has to come down, and through self-weight, it is able to move. This is one solution we could achieve. The next portion, if you see, finally at the end of it, we have to move the part from a lower level to a higher level. So we came out with the solution of slope karakuri. If you see, by gravity, the transmission moves into this pallet, and through a slope mechanism and counterweights and a very simple motor of 20 watt, which is less than the power consumption of a tube light, this climbs to the next station. Again, through gravity, it moves to the original height. So this kind of mechanism we were able to design, which were very low on power. Finally, with these things, with just one motor solution and zero, that is gravity solution, we are able to eliminate the T8. Now let's look at the next loop, that is T2. So here we had similar challenges, like we have a automatic part pusher which is required, because we do not have the luxury of having a gravity kind of solution. So when we look at part pusher, we thought about some mechanical units which can be used, like karakuri drive. Can we use some karakuri drive? So on the video you can see, we introduced on the same rollers a simple rope and a pulley mechanism with a low power which can push the part. The beauty of this intelligent karakuri is, it has to take the part to the required station. You'll see subsequently, there is an empty pallet which has come up. This intelligent karakuri just places the part there. Through mechanical mechanisms, it enters into that particular tester. There is absolutely no actuators which are used there. It's all mechanical arrangements that are done. So if there is a part inside the tester, it continues its journey to the next where it is required. It moves to the next station. The only power that is being used is the power